Hi, Lauren Falvo. Welcome to TweetFest.
Thank you for having me.
Now, you're very far away from me.
Yes, I am. I'm in Montreal, Canada at the moment because that is where I live. So,
Yay. And is it cold? Is it cold this time of year? Is it-
you know what? It's been a weird November. It should be snowing by now, but it's not. So normally, yes, currently, no.
We have the same problem here in the UK.
Yeah.
It was this really mild weekend when we should be freezing, all wearing beanies by now. Yeah. So strange. And you've already had your short film has already been in some film festivals there in Montreal, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. It's been in two in person. It's been in the Montreal Feminist Film Festival, which was wonderful. And and another one called Cours du Soir, which is more of a student-centered one, but
Okay.
and then a couple just online.
Amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
and so for the audience who don't know, so Lauren has made a beautiful, beautiful animation called "Oh to Love Without Possession," and it's very intense, but very beautiful, very moving, really powerful. Animations, they always delight me and surprise me. We've had them over the years, every year maybe one ends up in the film festival.
Yeah.
There's just not as many come through. I think that's just a thing. It's a smaller a smaller bunch of you that make them.
It's a
Perhaps.
very
Yeah.
niche little art form to find, like to
Yeah.
love art and cinema and just making things move.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really niche enjoyment, but I quite like it.
I quite like it. I especially love yours. It's a really intense topic. So without doing too much of a spoiler for anybody who is listening and really excited about seeing your work,
Yeah.
how'd you get this idea?
Yeah, so it is based on a really short comic that I made. And it's kind of interesting because the process of making the comic and then the film made me realize something about myself, which is that I really process emotions through visuals. So I had the idea for the comic, which again, I guess I don't want to spoil the plot of the film, but what
You can say
happened.
your tagline, essentially what it's about. I mean, to yeah,
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 well, I mean, it's about two people in a relationship, and then throughout the relationship, over the span of 2 minutes, it's all kind of condensed. You sort of see the women um, succumb to subtle feelings of possession from
yeah.
her partner, but it is all visualized in a little surreal way. And I made that comic with no sort of like meaning or intention behind it, with that little narrative. And then after it was done, I kind of looked at it and I went, oh, that's so. Also, for context, I made the comic after a breakup I went through with my first relationship.
Wow.
Um,
That actually that tells quite a lot, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah, it was. I'd been in it since high school. Like, it was a pretty long one. And then I, seemingly unrelated, I had the idea for the comic, which is in the film. I made it, I looked back at it, and then I thought of the title, like, "Oh, to Love Without Possession." And then I realized, oh, I was feeling those things. I'm feeling that from my
Okay, this
relationship.
is
Yeah.
therapy.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah. Art is so cool. It can be so helpful. But yeah, so and then when I developed it into a film, I was able to like understand the emotion behind it, like the reason why, and then really sort of like pinpoint it and exaggerate it for the film. So yeah, the meaning behind it is really just like visually portraying those subtle feelings of possession that a lot of women tend to feel in heterosexual relationships.
Yeah.
And another thing that ended up being quite validating is because at first I'm like, this might just be a me thing, who's to say? I released the comic and I got a lot of like an unexpected amount of feedback from mainly the women in my life, being like, oh, this is hitting hard. Like I really relate to this. Um, yeah, so it's just visualizing my feelings that turned into visualizing a bit of a
Yeah.
common thing.
I mean, I definitely had, without saying too much, that kind of relationship very early on when I was probably your age, because I'm a lot older than you now. Um, and yeah, and I vowed I would never go back into a relationship like that. It was quite intense for a couple of years, and I actually don't even know what happened to him. But when I watched that, it absolutely, absolutely reminded me of that kind of relationship where you start in one place and end up in a completely different place and realize for such a short piece, it's very powerful coming
Yeah.
out of it going, oh, whoa. Brilliant. Well done on your visual storytelling.
Thank you.
And so do you think you'll do any more on this particular topic, or do you think, or like, would you do a longer narrative, or would you go in a completely different direction next?
Well, when talking about length, that's something that I need to be like plan a lot for. So this film took about, I'd say it was 3 months of really intense work and animating and planning. Mainly animating, because I like to work with really rough planning. Like, not, I don't really do rough animation. I really just do keyframes and then straight ahead. So I can focus a lot on just animating. But I'm sorry that.
Oh,
Ramble.
this is amazing. We very rarely talk to people who do animation. You can be as detailed as you like. It's incredible.
Well, I mean, okay, to geek out a little bit on the process, what you kind of touched on about how you sort of start in one place and then you change and end up in another. A way that I really wanted to get that visually across was that an animation technique I used was, instead of doing the rough animation for everything and planning out everything and making sure that all the hands are consistent, the head consistent, the character design is consistent throughout the film, what I did was I did keyframes sporadically, so just like different drawings, and I didn't try and match them with the previous drawing. And then how you create movement in that is that you do, like, if say there's a pose here and then one here, you would do a frame in between of the middle action and then between that action and that one, so then you get movement. But if you have this frame and that frame of the same character that are drawn differently, the in-between sort of morph. So like it slowly morphs into the other.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And if you just sort of add that for every key movement, and there's a lot of different poses and movements, you know, the whole film is just two characters moving, it gets this really interesting and subtle effect of change, but you don't really see the moments of the change, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that also allowed for less planning on my part, so that was a good way to get some time cut out. But
yeah, that's cool though. I'm really excited about seeing it in London on the big screen, because you know the screens I'm always watching on are like IMAX size, which is a nice size, but not anything like it is when you watch something on the big screen. Animation always looks amazing when it's bigger, when it takes over a full cinema size space. We had one actually years ago in TweetFest that it was one of our first years, one of our earliest years, and it was also it was in the finals at the Picture House, and it won. It was absolutely magnificent. Yeah, I'll have to find it and email you so you get to see who this artist was. I just loved her work. I thought it was beautiful, another beautiful story. So it was great. So there you go. See, animations can be winning. It beat all of the actual, you know, live action drama comedies and stuff that were out there. So, and then you also had the voice. You had Jacob Colt Winia.
Oh goodness, I don't know how to pronounce his last name.
So doing the voice for you.
And so he voiced the other character, and he did all of the sound design. So he's responsible for all of the sound in the film.
Oh, wow, that's amazing.
He did an amazing job. It was really fun working with him. I just kind of sent him some reference songs. Like, I like the feeling of all of these different songs. Can you please do something with that? And he just knocked it out of the park. He did a phenomenal job.
That's incredible. So did you know him then before you worked with him?
I did not. So this was technically a school project. There were no guide, like I'm in film animation at Concordia, and so this was just our second year film that we got to make. So
it doesn't look like a student film, by the way.
Oh, awesome, thank you. But yeah, so our teacher gave us a big sheet of people who signed up to want to work with animators in the different music programs at different colleges. And he was on the sheet, and I'm like, he seems nice. So I reached out to him. It was all very, very, I don't even know. Could have gone bad, but it worked out so well. I'm very happy.
Oh, that's fantastic. And then also you've collaborated with somebody who you know potentially you'll work with again, because they're so brilliant to work with that there's infinite possibilities, which is quite cool.
Oh my gosh. Throughout the whole process, both times, so many times we're like, we're gonna work on more stuff together, right? I'm like, yeah, so he's my sound guy.
He knows he's stuck with you for life.
Yeah.
And going a little bit off piste, are these pictures behind you, are they things you've done yourself?
Yes, I realize I need to be visually stimulated at all times, so I've been just filling up my wall.
Though. It's brilliant.
My Trump painting of him
Oh,
eating.
oh.
I gave him a hat so that he wouldn't be too intimidating for the
Yeah,
interview.
less scary. This is great. I want a picture. You need to send me a picture so we can put it on Instagram. Brilliant.
Sure.
Yeah, 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 do. It's really good. And then also you can come over and maybe design my office with some cool art. Just send me some. Just send me some cool art.
That would make my life. That sounds wonderful.
We could start selling Lauren postcards. Lauren Falvo, you have to tweet up postcards. So I love asking filmmakers what next, because so you're studying at the moment, and
Mhm.
were you studying somewhere else before? It was no, it's just that it's Concordia has been where you've been only.
Yes, yeah.
Yes.
I just went straight to
Yeah,
film animation at Concordia. I've always known I've liked animating for some reason. So
amazing. So you're just around other animators all day, every day. It's all you will do.
yes and no. It's kind of strange. I Most of my degree is just regular lecture courses on different topics, and then I have my animation classes. So during my classes I get to be around other animators, but I'm also doing a lot. I'm like medieval literature, like
Oh,
different
okay.
regular student classes. But yes, during my animation classes I do in fact get to be around other animators, and it's
Yeah.
very nice.
And can that be inspiring? Meeting other animators and seeing the way they work?
Absolutely. I mean, the way our classes are structured is it's we're given pretty much a project like a film, or it's different if the classes are slightly different. And then every week people present their progress, we watch it, we critique it, we give our opinions, and then we go to the next person. So it's just 4 hours of seeing different people's ideas and their progress and how they're creating the end product. Like you get to see the whole arc of it, and then if you give feedback you get to see that sometimes incorporated into the films. So it's incredibly inspiring. The teachers are so cool. Yeah, I want to be all of them, so it's, and also just Montreal in general, it's a very very artsy city as
I've heard this, and it
yeah.
sounds really cool. It's a city I want to go to. And does anyone speak French? Does Montreal have French like Quebec or not really?
Yeah, well, Montreal's in Quebec, and
Oh,
it is.
there you go. That's how good my geography is. I've just given that
Mhm.
away live.
I I know like that maybe this much of Canada's geography, and the rest of the world that's just no, I'm not going to judge. But yeah, it is French. I don't speak French, unfortunately. I'm actually from Ottawa, which is in a province right next to it in Ontario, and probably should know French given that I was taught it in school for most of my life. I know, but no, you don't need to speak French to get by here, which I'm pretty
Yeah,
grateful for.
yeah,
Um, but yeah,
cool. Well, I
it's
hope
French and artsy. That's Montreal.
okay, cool. Yeah, it just sounds really cool. We're going to have to do TweetFest abroad one year, aren't we? We're just going to have to go to different countries.
Oh my gosh, I brought that up though because sorry, the city's also very inspiring. Just seeing the
Oh,
different things that are going on everywhere and the different people. It's very artsy. So school, yes, but also just overall where I'm at.
and it's beautiful as well to look at visually. Yeah,
Love it here.
so
It's
pretty.
great.
Yeah.
Never gonna yeah.
Yay. Well, I hope you get to London, with your festival soon. What's next for I Love Without Possession? Where are you headed? Do you know?
Oh, what's next? Well, I'm still waiting to hear back from a couple other festivals. Honestly, I was not expecting it to get into the amount of festivals that it has. So this has been a wonderful, amazing shock. Um, and I don't know. I'm just waiting to hear back from where I'm going to continue applying. I'm not doing a student film this year. I'm on a bit of a staggering my intense animation years.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. And that's kind of the exciting part. So we'll just kind of see where at the festival circuit that it takes and where that brings me, and then what's next.
Cool. All right. So we just have to make sure we tell everybody about you so they can all hire you for animations.
Oh, love to be hired for animation. That
So
sounds
cool.
wonderful.
There we go. Hire Lauren for animation, everybody. Brilliant. And if you need to see her film, then you need to come to TweetFest and see her film on the big screen because it's brilliant.
Thank
Um,
you.
so lovely to talk with you. I'm really excited about your journey. Do stay in touch. We love all filmmakers, but we particularly champion females because we are a very female-led festival. And so
honestly, I sort of gathered that from the fact that my film was accepted into your festival. I've noticed that the festivals that are more female led and women run tend to accept my film into it, and the ones that are not tend to pass it over. Which is like, yeah, just because I
Yeah.
think the themes in it like are so relatable to women,
Yeah.
and men don't necessarily like relate to it immediately, so they don't. It might
Yeah.
sometimes,
That maybe perhaps a male viewer is missing the stuff that you and I were talking about at the beginning, about that real feeling of what the film is all about, that feeling of just that loss of something, of our sense of selves, and also, yeah, no, it's interesting. It must just resonate with the female audience more because they connect immediately. They think, yeah, I know that, or I've had a friend have that experience.
yeah.
We're still working, aren't we, on helping males. It's a very general statement, but just to
Yeah, yeah.
helping, males to understand how it can feel. Sometimes how things can get things have been in the past sometimes mixed up. It's not for not all men are like that. Obviously,
Yeah,
the vast majority are amazing.
yeah.
And I know that there's also been films that have talked about the opposite, where a female has, I've seen live actions where a female has been controlling and manipulative.
Oh yeah, it's
Yeah, as
definitely
well.
not
Yeah.
exclusive to any gender.
No.
But yeah, just I think that that's sort of immediately relating to a feeling and maybe at first not really understanding why,
Yeah.
but just connecting to it
Yes.
is like are powerful, and also visualizing like again feelings that one group of people largely feels and another sort of doesn't is a really good way to sort of introduce that other group to what that feeling is through
Yes.
visuals. And I think that's why art is so powerful and wonderful,
Yes.
that it
Exactly.
can do that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's really nice that we had a short film a few years back, and it was a story of a young girl getting her first period at school, and this awkward moment that happened, and stories like that, they're just really simple. All the girls will automatically relate to that story. We
Yeah.
remember those moments, but for the male audience who didn't experience it, it was just a really lovely way for them to understand what that young person's going through. And maybe a dad is watching that film and he's got a teenager, and it suddenly goes, oh, that's cool for me to kind of get a little bit of a vibe of what it's going to be like for her when she's at school, and there's going to be these awkward moments. So yeah, so when you're a great storyteller like yourself, that's what I think is amazing about filmmakers. You get to share that and then hopefully educate other people. So, and you've done that beautifully with this film. Anyway, I'm really excited.
It's a wonderful byproduct of releasing an emotion into art, is that it can also introduce other people to that feeling.
Yes.
But I feel like that's like a side effect of the
Yeah,
sort of
we've gone deep here, haven't we? But also, because I'm really into art, like I love going to exhibitions and I love seeing art and I love buying art, very cheap art. I can't afford the really I just buy the small pieces.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah, no, me too.
yeah,
I'm a fan as well.
I'm just going to buy yours now. I'm just going to get wait till you've got a website and just be buying all of yours. So that's the thing about animation. You guys are actual artists making it a story, which is really cool and it's so unique. And yeah, if you saw my stick men, you'll know why I'm an actor and not a animation person.
Oh, it's just because I'm obsessive. We can all draw stick men, but I just haven't stopped ever.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you took it further than me.
I just can't stop. Someone make it stop.
I think the Trump poster needs to be on sale online.
I actually do sell prints of it.
Do you? I bet it sells really well. I bet people have got it at home.
It's either or. People either love it or like, oh, I don't really want that in my home.
Yeah,
That's
the other problem. Yeah, they may not want to look at it every day. They're like, it's really clever. Oh no, actually, I don't really want to look at that.
Yeah.
Absolute pleasure talking with you, and I hope that I get to meet you in the future in person. But congratulations on being in TweetFest. We are thrilled to have you in our film festival. And last and passing question before we finish is, do you have a favorite film or favorite animation or favorite TV show? You're allowed to change your mind tomorrow, but just for today's interview, you have to pick one.
Oh goodness. Okay, this is going to be specific. I think my favorite animation, like little short animated film, is I think it's called Frogs by Felix Colgrave. And it's Oh my goodness, the movement in that is beautiful. I couldn't even tell you the story because it's similar, like Spirited Away. The story just kind of goes and goes and goes. It's only about, I think, 7 minutes. But it's the way they animate sound and frogs and characters and movement is fantastic. I could watch it for my whole life.
Okay, I'm going to find that now. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing. I get all these like these moments of wisdom from you guys, then I go, okay, that's my next films to watch. I don't have to try and find anything on Netflix now. I can just watch all the films that are recommended by the filmmakers. Some quality.
The small ones not on Netflix tend to be recommended by people.
Yes, exactly. Yes, but we'll be recommending you, just so you know.
Oh, that's crazy. Thank you so much.
Well, enjoy your day. We're just so happy to have you, and yeah, and keep in touch, and good luck with the competition as well.
Thank you so much. This has been fantastic. This is so wonderful. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, we'll see you soon.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye-bye.